The alarm went off at 5 in the morning. Not from her side of the bed, from her phone in the kitchen. Ethan had been awake for hours, staring at the ceiling fan slicing the dark. He heard the vibration rattle against the marble counter downstairs. A sound too loud in a house that was supposed to be full. He rolled toward her pillow. Cold, untouched. And for the first time in 10 years of marriage, Ethan realized he didn't know where his wife had slept. Sunrise in their Phoenix suburb always came in slow, dusty light. Beige walls, tile floors still cold, the coffee machine blinking 6:02 like it was judging him for being late to something he did not understand. Ethan stood barefoot in the kitchen holding her phone. Her alarm kept buzzing every 9 minutes. 5, 5:09, 5:18, 5:27. She had not turned it off. That meant she had not been here. He stared at the lock screen. No messages visible, no notifications. Just a photo of their daughter at the zoo last year. Ice cream melting down her wrist, laughing with her whole face. He turned the phone over, like flipping it might change the truth. The house smelled wrong. Not like perfume, not like another person. Just empty. Like air that had been sitting too long. Upstairs, his son's bathroom fan hummed, a normal morning sound. Cartoon voices drifted from a tablet. Life continuing, unaware. Ethan set the phone down when he heard small feet on tile. "Dad, where's Mom?" His daughter stood there in dinosaur pajamas. Hair flattened on one side, thumb hooked in her sleeve. Ethan forced a smile that stretched too thin. She had to leave early for work. The lie tasted like copper. He did not know where she worked this early. Her marketing job was remote, flexible, no office badge, no commute. She never set a 5 a.m. alarm. He poured cereal with shaking hands. Milk sloshed over the bowl's edge. His daughter did not notice. Kids lived inside their own weather systems. The alarm buzzed again. 5:36. Ethan picked up the phone and turned it off. His chest felt tight, like something heavy had been placed on it gently, politely, but permanently. He checked their bedroom again. Her side of the closet had a hanger missing. The gray blazer she wore for client video calls was gone, but her car was still in the garage. By 8:15, he had done school drop-off, sat through a red light he did not remember stopping at, and arrived home with a headache blooming behind his eyes. Her car still sat there. Silver SUV. Dust on the back window. Kid's soccer magnet still crooked. He walked around it like it might explain itself. No overnight bag inside, no gym clothes, nothing missing except the woman who was supposed to be driving it. He called her, straight to voicemail. He tried again. Voicemail. He did not leave a message. He did not trust his voice. Instead, he texted. "Hey, everything okay? Delivered." No reply. He walked back into the house and saw something he had missed before. Her laptop bag, still on the dining chair, she never went anywhere without it. Now, the humiliation began to creep in, not loud, not dramatic, quiet, like realizing you had been the only one laughing at a joke. He opened the refrigerator for no reason, closed it, opened it again. The leftovers she said she packed for lunch yesterday were still there. He checked the laundry room. Her running shoes were by the dryer. Her keys were in the ceramic bowl by the door. Her car was here. Her things were here. Her life was here. Just not her. At 9:03, his phone rang. Her name on the screen. His stomach dropped so hard it felt like missing a stair in the dark. He answered too fast. "Hey." Her voice came thin, like she was talking through fabric. "Sorry, my phone died. I had to stay at Melissa's. Emergency, long story, Melissa, her college friend across town." Ethan pressed his fingers into the counter. What emergency? Her husband had some kind of panic attack. "I didn't want to wake you," she spoke smoothly, too smoothly. Ethan swallowed. "You didn't take your car." Silence. Half a second. Too long. "Oh, yeah, I Ubered. I was rushing." He looked at her keys in the bowl. Your alarm kept going off. Sorry, I must have forgotten to turn it off. He closed his eyes. She had never once forgotten an alarm. Are you coming home? Soon. I need to help her with the kids. Her voice softened in that familiar, careful way she used when she thought he might get emotional. It felt like being patted on the head. Ethan nodded, even though she couldn't see him. Okay. They hung up. The house felt smaller than before, and for the first time, he wondered if he was the last person to know something everyone else already did. At 10:30, Ethan did something he had never done in their marriage. He opened the phone bill, not her phone, the account. They shared everything, or he thought they did. Scrolling felt like trespassing inside his own life. Numbers blurred past until one line caught his eye, a repeated outgoing call, 5 times last night, between 10:30 p.m. and 1:15 a.m., same number, not saved, area code local, call duration, 23 minutes, 19 minutes, 31 minutes. His ears rang. He copied the number into the search bar. Nothing obvious. Then he opened social media. Typed it into the search field. A name popped up attached to a business profile. Liam Carter, real estate agent. Profile picture, sunglasses, golf shirt, smiling too wide in front of a model home. Ethan felt heat rush into his face. He clicked the photos, scrolling. Open houses, key handovers, champagne in plastic cups. Then one picture froze him. A group shot at a charity 5K run, and there she was. His wife, hair in a ponytail, athletic tank top, smiling at the camera. Tagged 6 months ago. He had asked that morning why she came home with a race shirt. She said it was a free giveaway at a grocery store promotion. His stomach twisted hard enough to make him sit down. He zoomed into the image. Liam stood beside her. Hand too close to her waist, not touching, but almost. The kind of almost that only meant something if you already knew. Ethan put the phone down slowly. His hands were shaking now, not from anger yet, but from the collapse of certainty. The worst part was not the possibility of cheating. It was realizing she had been living parts of her life that did not include him and had gotten good at it. Very good. And he had been proud of how low drama their marriage was. Upstairs, the washing machine beeped. A normal domestic sound. A sound from the life he thought he had. He stared at the silent house and felt something ugly rise in him. Not rage, not heartbreak, humiliation. Like he had been the last one picked for a game he did not know he was playing. She came home at 3:20 in the afternoon. The garage door groaned open, sunlight slicing across the floor like nothing in the world had shifted. Ethan was at the kitchen sink, hands submerged in lukewarm water long after the last plate had been clean. He dried his hands slowly before turning. She walked in carrying nothing. No overnight bag, no coffee cup, no sign she had been anywhere unusual. Just her purse, her phone, her normal. You're home early, she said lightly, slipping off her shoes. Didn't have meetings. I moved some things around, he replied. His voice surprised him. Calm, even, almost gentle. She smiled. The kind of small, tired smile that used to make him feel protective. Today, it landed differently, like a performance he had already seen from backstage. How's Melissa? He asked. There it was, the first test. She exhaled, shaking her head. Rough night. He thought he was having a heart attack. Turned out to be anxiety. Hospital. No. They almost went. I stayed to help with the kids. Her eyes held his, steady, practiced. Ethan nodded once, like he was filing the answer into a cabinet already too full. You could have called, he said quietly. I didn't want to wake you. You called him 5 times. The words slipped out before he could stop them. A flicker. Tiny, but he saw it. Who? Melissa's husband. She blinked. Yeah, he was panicking. I was trying to calm him down. Ethan studied her face. every micro-movement. The slight tension at her jaw, the way she tucked hair behind her ear, a tell she had when she was buying time. "You didn't take your car," he said. "I told you." "I Ubered." He nodded again. "Right." Silence stretched between them. Thin, but unbreakable. She moved toward the fridge. "Did the kids eat?" "Yeah." "Good." She opened the door, stared inside like she was genuinely looking for something, then closed it without taking anything out. A pause. Then she turned, leaning against the counter. "You're being weird," she said, soft but edged. "What's going on?" Ethan almost laughed. The audacity of being asked that inside his own confusion. "I just didn't know where you were," he said. "That's all. I told you, after." Her eyes hardened slightly. "You think I'd lie about something like that?" He held her gaze. "I don't know," he said. The honesty hung in the air like smoke. She looked away first. "I was exhausted," she muttered. "I didn't think it was a big deal, not a big deal." He imagined the hours between 10:30 and 1:15. Phone calls, conversations, laughter maybe, whispered reassurances that had nothing to do with panic attacks. "You didn't bring your laptop," he said. "I didn't need it. For an emergency sleepover." She folded her arms. Defensive now. "What is this, Ethan? An interrogation?" No. It was worse than that. It was a man trying to match reality with the story he was being given and feeling stupid for failing. "I was worried," he said. "That's it." Her expression softened, but it did not reach her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said. "I should have texted earlier. There it was. Not, 'I'm sorry I scared you.' Not, 'I'm sorry you didn't know where I was.' Just a small, technical apology." She stepped forward and touched his arm. The contact felt foreign, like someone else's hand using her skin. "You're overthinking," she whispered. Ethan nodded. He knew he should push harder, ask for details, addresses, proof. Instead, he did what people do when they are afraid of the answer. He let it sit. "Okay," he said quietly, and in that moment, she believed she was safe. What she did not see was the way his eyes had changed. Not louder, not angrier, just awake. The school pickup line curled around the block like it always did, a slow parade of minivans and SUVs inching forward under the Arizona sun. Heat shimmered above the asphalt. Kids' artwork taped to classroom windows fluttered in the air-conditioning breeze. Ethan gripped the steering wheel, his thumb rubbing the worn seam in the leather. He had come early on purpose. He did not want to be home. He did not want to sit in the kitchen pretending everything felt normal. Parents stood in small clusters on the sidewalk, sunglasses on, iced coffees sweating in their hands. Conversations about soccer schedules and math homework floated through open windows. He kept his eyes forward. Then someone knocked lightly on his passenger window. He startled. It was Dana, one of the moms from his daughter's class. Always cheerful, always slightly too loud. He rolled the window down. "Hey, Ethan," she said, leaning in just enough to be friendly but not enough to be invited. "I saw your wife the other night." His stomach dropped, but he smiled automatically. "Oh, yeah. At that open house party over on Silver Creek. My sister's looking to buy, so we stopped by for the wine and free snacks." She laughed. Real estate people really go all out. Ethan felt the air thin in his lungs. "Open house, yeah, some evening event. Music, string lights in the backyard. Your wife looked great, by the way. I almost didn't recognize her without the kids." He nodded, the movement stiff. "Oh, nice." She was talking to one of the agents for a long time. Tall guy, dark hair, super charismatic. "Honestly, I thought maybe you guys were moving or something." Her smile faltered slightly when she noticed his face hadn't changed. "You weren't there?" she asked. "No," he said. The word came out flat. "Oh." She shifted her weight. "Well, maybe I got the day wrong." "No," Ethan said softly. "You didn't." A teacher blew a whistle in the distance. Car doors opened, children poured out in a wave of backpacks and chatter. Dana straightened. "Anyway, see you at the PTA meeting next week." "Yeah," he said. She walked away, already pulling out her phone, the moment gone for her. But Ethan stayed frozen in the driver's seat, hands locked on the wheel. String lights, wine, music. Not a hospital scare, not a panic attack. Not crying kids and borrowed blankets on a living room floor. A party. He pictured her there, laughing in warm backyard light, holding a plastic cup, telling someone a version of her life that did not include the man now waiting in a school pickup line, pretending not to fall apart. The passenger door flew open. "Dad," his daughter said, climbing in. "Guess what? I got a star for reading." He turned, forcing his face into something soft. "That's awesome, kiddo." She kept talking, words tumbling over each other, while he drove home through streets he suddenly didn't recognize. Every red light felt longer, every mile heavier. Humiliation was a strange thing. It did not shout, it whispered. It sat beside you in daylight and made you wonder how many other people knew something about your life that you didn't. The bank notification came at 7:42 that evening, while Ethan was rinsing spaghetti sauce off a plate. A soft buzz. A normal sound. He almost ignored it. Almost. He wiped his hands on a dish towel and glanced at his phone. Pending transaction, $187. Desert Palm Suites. His pulse stumbled. He opened the app. The charge had appeared and disappeared within minutes, marked pending, then reversed. A hold. A hotel hold. He stood very still, listening to the hum of the refrigerator, the clink of his daughter's fork against her bowl in the dining room. "Dad, can I have more juice?" she called. "Yeah," he answered automatically. He poured without looking, orange liquid sloshing too high. His hands were steady now in a way that scared him. Calm meant something had shifted. He returned to the phone. Timestamp, 12:16 a.m., last night, while she had been on Melissa's couch. He did not confront her, not yet. Instead, he opened the shared email account they used for bills and school forms. Search bar, desert, nothing. Palm, nothing. Suites, still nothing. He switched tactics, typed Lyft, then Uber. Receipts popped up, daytime rides, grocery runs, airport drop-offs months ago, nothing from last night. Which meant one of two things. She hadn't taken a ride, or she hadn't used the account he could see. Ethan leaned back against the counter, phone pressed to his chest like he was trying to slow his own heart. In the living room, the TV played some animated show. Laugh tracks, bright voices, a normal family soundtrack. He felt like an actor who had missed his cue and didn't know what scene he was in anymore. He opened their credit card statement next, scrolling, gas, Target, streaming subscription. Then another flicker. A small charge from 3 weeks ago. Same hotel chain, different location. Also reversed. He sat down at the kitchen table. Chairs scraped loudly against tile. His son looked over from the couch. "You okay, Dad?" "Yeah," he said, "just tired." He took screenshots. Each one felt like placing a brick in a wall he never wanted to build. He checked the calendar app they shared. Doctor appointment for their son. Soccer practice. Date night crossed out 2 Fridays ago, too tired, she had said. That same night, another hotel hold. Ethan's vision blurred. Not from tears. From the realization that this was not a mistake, this was a pattern. He zoomed in on the timestamps. Late night, short stays, charges that vanished before morning, like footprints wiped away before daylight. He looked toward the hallway. She was upstairs helping their daughter with homework, her voice warm, patient, gentle. The same voice that used to read to him in bed when he couldn't sleep. The same voice that now existed in 2 worlds. He opened the Notes app on his phone, started a list, dates, times, amounts, questions he did not yet dare to ask out loud. Each line steadied him. Pain was still there, sharp and raw, but something else was growing beside it. Clarity. He was done chasing feelings. Facts did not lie. And for the first time since the alarm went off that morning, Ethan felt a direction forming beneath his feet. Not toward confrontation. Not yet. Toward truth. And he would follow it quietly. Upstairs, she sat on the edge of their daughter's bed, nodding along to a story about playground drama she barely heard. Her smile came at the right moments. Her voice made the right sounds. Inside, her thoughts moved in tight, frantic circles. She had not planned for things to overlap like this. Not the hotel holds. Not the repeated calls. Not the way Ethan had looked at her that afternoon, not angry, not accusing, just awake. That was worse. Anger she could fight. Tears she could soothe. Silence with open eyes felt like standing on thin ice. Mom. She blinked. Sorry, honey. What did she say? Her daughter repeated the story, slower this time. She nodded again, kissed her forehead, and stood. In the hallway, the house lights felt too bright. Every sound carried running water, cabinet doors, the scrape of a chair. Ordinary noises had turned into signals. Proof of the life she was still inside, the one she had not meant to fracture. She walked into the bathroom and closed the door softly. Her reflection looked the same. That unsettled her most. Same hair, same tired eyes, same faint line between her brows. No visible sign of the double life she had convinced herself was temporary. Contained. Manageable. She gripped the edge of the sink. It had not started as betrayal. It had started as relief. A conversation that was not about grocery lists or screen time limits, or whose turn it was to schedule dentist appointments. Someone looking at her like she was still new, still interesting, not just efficient. She had told herself it was emotional, just talking, just space to breathe. Then it had crossed a line so quietly she could no longer point to where. She did not hate Ethan. That was the problem. If she hated him, this would have made sense. Instead, she loved him and resented him in the same breath for being steady, predictable, kind, for seeing her as safe when she felt like she was dissolving inside routines that never ended. Her phone buzzed on the counter. A message. You okay? She stared at the name on the screen. Liam. Her chest tightened. She typed back. Yeah. Just tired? Can't talk tonight. 3 dots appeared instantly. Miss you. Her throat closed. She locked the phone without answering. Downstairs, Ethan laughed softly at something their son said. The sound cut through her like a blade wrapped in velvet. Guilt rose fast and hot, but she pushed it down the way she had been doing for months. She would end it, soon, after things calmed down, after the right moment, after she figured out how to step back into her life without anyone seeing the crack. She splashed water on her face, cold, grounding. When she walked back into the hallway, she practiced her normal expression, the one that kept everything running. What she did not understand yet was that the moment for quiet exits had already passed, and the man downstairs was no longer asleep inside their marriage. She said she had a late client call. Said it casually, like mentioning she needed to pick up milk. I'll probably be done around 10, she added, not looking up from her phone. Ethan nodded from the couch, remote loose in his hand, a show playing that neither of them was watching. Okay, that was all. No questions, no suspicion in his tone, just space. She filled it with movement, grabbing her laptop bag this time, keys, charger. The performance had improved. Don't wait up, she said, leaning down to kiss the top of their daughter's head. The garage door closed. The house went still. Ethan waited 5 full minutes before moving. Not because he wanted to, because he needed to be sure. He walked to the kitchen table where her tablet sat. Screen dark, still logged into the shared family account she used for streaming and email. He tapped it awake. Notifications bloomed across the screen. Calendar reminder. Property? Walk through 7:30 p.m. Not a client call. He opened the email, a message from Liam Carter. Address attached, Unit 4, B, Ridgeview Apartments. Time stamped 6:52 p.m. Ethan felt the room tilt slightly. He zoomed in on the address. 20 minutes away. He did not grab his keys right away. He stood there, breathing through his nose, slow and deliberate, like he was trying to keep something wild from breaking loose inside his chest. Upstairs, water ran his son brushing his teeth. Life moving forward, unaware. He picked up his phone and typed the address into maps. He stared at the route. Right turn at the gas station where they always stopped for road trip snacks. Past the park where he had taught his daughter to ride a bike. Ordinary streets leading to an unfamiliar truth. His hands shook now. Not with panic, with clarity edged in dread. He grabbed his keys, then stopped. Looked at the staircase, looked at the hallway. If he went, there was no unseeing what he might see. No returning to maybe, no more stories that almost made sense. Just truth. Sharp and final. He stepped outside anyway. The evening air hit his face, still warm from the day. Crickets hummed in the bushes. A neighbor watered their lawn, the smell of wet grass hanging low. Ethan got into the car and started the engine. The dashboard clock read 8:12. Her late client call had already begun. He pulled away from the curb slowly, like a man driving toward an accident he already knew involved his own life. The apartment complex looked like every other mid-range development in the valley. Beige stucco. Balconies with patio chairs no one used. A flickering security light near the mailboxes. Ethan parked across the street, half hidden behind a row of trimmed hedges. His engine ticked as it cooled. Unit 4B, second floor, lights on. He could see the window from where he sat. A lamp glowed warm inside, soft yellow against the darkening sky. He checked the time. 8:26. His pulse thudded in his ears, loud enough to feel. A car turned into the lot. Silver SUV. Her SUV. He froze. She pulled into a space near the stairwell, engine off. Headlights fading. For a moment she just sat there, face lit blue by her phone. Ethan gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles whitened. She looked normal. Not rushed, not afraid. She checked her reflection in the mirror, smoothed her hair, adjusted her blouse. Like someone about to walk into a dinner party. She stepped out, locked the car, and walked toward the stairs. He watched every step. Each one landed like a quiet hammer inside his chest. At the top of the stairs, the door to 4B opened before she knocked. A man stood there. Tall, dark hair, casual button-down shirt. Liam. Even from this distance, Ethan recognized the easy posture, the way he leaned on the doorframe like he belonged wherever he stood. She smiled when she saw him. Not the polite smile she used with neighbors. Not the tired smile from earlier, a different one. Lighter, unburdened. She stepped inside. The door closed. Ethan didn't realize he'd stopped breathing until his lungs burned. He exhaled slowly, like releasing something fragile. This was the moment people imagined would explode into action, storming up the stairs, shouting, demanding answers. But Ethan stayed where he was, because seeing it was already louder than any confrontation. His hands trembled in his lap. His jaw ached from clenching. He looked down at his wedding ring. 10 years condensed into a thin circle of metal. Inside the apartment, shadows moved past the curtains. He looked away. Not because he didn't want to know, because he already did. A wave of heat rushed through him, humiliation, grief, rage, all braided together so tightly he couldn't separate them. But beneath that storm, something else settled. Stillness. He took out his phone, opened the camera. Zoomed in just enough to capture her SUV parked beneath the unit number. 4B, clearly visible. Timestamp glowing in the corner of the screen. Click. The sound felt too loud in the quiet car. Proof. Not for revenge, for reality. He sat there another minute, then 2, long enough for denial to die completely. Then he started the engine. As he drove away, the apartment complex shrank in the rearview mirror, just another beige building in a city full of them. But Ethan felt like he had just crossed an invisible border. The man who drove home that night was not the same one who had heard an alarm buzzing in the kitchen that morning. This version knew, and knowing changed everything. He didn't go inside right away. The garage door closed behind him with a heavy thud, sealing the night out and trapping the silence in. The interior light flicked on, casting dull yellow over storage boxes, bikes, holiday decorations no one had unpacked in years. Ethan turned off the engine. The ticking sound filled the space, metal cooling after motion. He stayed in the driver's seat, hands still on the wheel, eyes unfocused. This was where the body finally caught up to the truth. His chest started shaking before he realized he was crying. Not loud, not dramatic, just air leaving him in uneven pulls, like something inside had broken open and didn't know how to close again. He pressed his fist against his mouth to keep the sound down. Inside the house, his kids were finishing homework, maybe arguing about whose turn it was in the bathroom. Normal sounds of a normal evening. He couldn't let them hear this. So he folded forward, forehead resting against the steering wheel, shoulders trembling in the dark. He wasn't crying just because she was with someone else. He was crying because he had been standing inside the wreckage of his marriage for months, maybe years, and calling it stability. Because he had praised their low drama. Because he had thought quiet meant safe. A memory surfaced without warning. 2 summers ago, backyard barbecue. She had laughed while spraying the kids with a hose, sunlight in her hair, water droplets catching light like glass. He had watched from the patio, beer in hand, thinking, "This is it. This is a good life." Now, that memory felt like looking at a photograph of someone else's family. His phone buzzed in the cup holder. Her name. He stared at it until the screen went dark. A voicemail notification followed. He didn't listen. Not yet. He wiped his face with the back of his hand, breath slowing, but the heaviness remained a weight behind his ribs that made everything feel slower, thicker. He looked at the garage wall in front of him. Paint chips, oil stain near the floor, a spider web in the corner catching dust. Small, ordinary details. Proof that the world had not shifted, even though his had cracked open. He whispered into the empty car, voice raw. How long? The question dissolved into the air with no answer. After a long time, he straightened up. His reflection in the rearview mirror startled him. Eyes red. Face drawn. A man who looked older than he had that morning. He turned off the dome light, sat 1 more minute in the dark, then opened the car door and stepped into the version of his life that still needed him to make dinner, sign permission slips, and pretend he wasn't quietly breaking apart inside. Sleep didn't come. Ethan lay in bed beside the empty space she would later slide into, the sheets cool, the ceiling fan ticking faintly as it rotated. At 1:43 in the morning, he gave up pretending. He slipped out of bed and went downstairs, the house dim except for the soft blue light above the stove. He opened his laptop. Not to check messages. Not to look at photos. To follow the money. Pain had already done its damage. Now came the part that required clarity. He logged into their shared financial portal. Savings account. Checking. Credit cards. Then the home equity line. He almost skipped it. They rarely touched it. Balance lower than he remembered. His pulse quickened. Transaction history opened in a new tab. There it was. 3 withdrawals over the last 4 months, $10,000, $8,000, $12,000, each labeled transfer to external investment account. He did not recognize the institution. He copied the name into a search bar. Carter Property Ventures, LLC. His throat went dry. He clicked. A simple business page appeared. Real estate consulting. Private investment opportunities. Short-term property flips. Managing partner, Liam Carter. Ethan sat back slowly. The air felt thinner, like the house had risen to a higher altitude without warning. This wasn't just emotional. This wasn't just hotel rooms and late-night calls. This was shared equity. Their house, their children's security, moved quietly into the hands of the man she had told him was just someone from a charity run. He opened the document link attached to the transaction. Electronic signature page. Her name. Date stamped 2 months ago. His name appeared below in a secondary authorization field, but the signature wasn't his. It was a digital scrawl. Close, but not right. He stared at it, heart pounding in his ears. She had signed for him, or someone had. A wave of nausea rolled through him. He pushed back from the table and stood, pacing the kitchen tile barefoot. Every step echoed too loudly in the quiet house. He thought of the nights she said she was working late, the weekends she'd gone networking. He had encouraged her, told her he was proud she was expanding her world. Now he saw what that expansion had cost. Upstairs, a floorboard creaked. She was home, moving around quietly, thinking he was asleep, thinking the story still held. Ethan returned to the table and took screenshots of everything. Balances, dates, signatures. He emailed copies to a new folder he created under a name she would never guess. Not out of revenge, out of protection. Because this had moved beyond betrayal into something colder. Deliberate, financial, binding. He closed the laptop slowly. His hands were steady again. The shaking had stopped somewhere between the second and third screenshot. In its place was something heavier, resolve. He looked toward the staircase, listening to the faint sound of running water in the bathroom. She thought the worst thing he could discover was another man. She had not imagined he would follow the numbers. But numbers did not blush. They did not cry. They did not rewrite themselves in the morning light. They simply waited to be read. And now he had read them. They sat across from each other at the kitchen table after the kids were asleep. No raised voices, no slammed doors. Just 2 glasses of water sweating onto coasters neither of them touched. The clock on the microwave read 10:14. Ethan had asked her to sit. She already knew. He could see it in the way she held herself shoulders tight, hands folded too neatly in her lap. "What's going on?" she asked, softly. He didn't answer right away. He slid his phone across the table. On the screen, a photo of her SUV parked under the number 4B. Her breath caught. She looked at the picture for a long time. Then she closed her eyes. "You followed me," she said. "Yes. Not angry, just a fact." She nodded once, like confirming something to herself. "How long?" he asked. Tears welled instantly, but he didn't look away. "Months," she whispered. The word settled between them like dust after a collapse. "Emotional," she rushed to add. "At first, I swear, I was just lonely. I didn't know how to talk to you anymore without it turning into schedules and logistics and in hotel rooms," he asked quietly. Her mouth closed. Silence answered for her. "I never meant for it to go this far," she said, voice shaking now. "I kept thinking I'd end it. Every time I tried, it felt like losing oxygen." Ethan felt something inside him harden. "You refinanced part of the house," he said. Her head snapped up. "What? 12,000, 8,000, 10,000. Into his company." Her face drained of color. "That was an investment. You signed my name." Tears spilled over now. He said it was paperwork. "I didn't think you didn't think," Ethan repeated softly. She covered her mouth with her hand, sob breaking through. "I was trying to build something of my own," she said through tears. "Something that made me feel like more than just what." She couldn't finish. The kitchen hummed around them, refrigerator cycling on, air vent whispering above. Normal house sounds. Nothing about this felt normal anymore. "I didn't want to hurt you," she said. "I know," he replied. That was the worst part. She had not set out to destroy their life. She had simply chosen herself in small, quiet ways until there was nothing left that belonged to both of them. Ethan leaned back in his chair. His voice stayed level. "I spoke to a lawyer today." Her crying stopped. The silence that followed was deeper than anything that had come before, not explosive, final, and for the first time that night she looked at him not with guilt, but with fear. Fear changed her posture. Not the dramatic kind, no gasp, no sudden movement, just a stillness that spread through her body, like she had stepped onto ice and realized it might not hold. "A lawyer," she repeated. Ethan nodded once. "I needed to understand where we stand." Her voice came out thin. "You're filing for divorce, I'm preparing," he said. "There's a difference." Tears clung to her lashes but didn't fall now. She was listening carefully, the way people do when the ground beneath them shifts from emotion to consequence. "I never wanted to take anything from you," she said. "The house, the money, I thought it would grow. I thought I could fix everything before you ever knew. That's the part that hurts the most," he replied quietly. "You made decisions for both of us without me." She looked down at her hands. He continued, not louder, not cruel. "I met with someone this afternoon. Just information, custody, assets. What happens if one spouse moves shared equity without consent?" Her breathing grew shallow. "I didn't mean to forge your name," she whispered, "but you did." A long pause. "I trusted him," she said. Ethan let out a breath through his nose. Not a laugh, not quite anger. "I trusted you." The words landed heavier than shouting ever could. The kitchen light hummed faintly overhead. The clock ticked. Time moving forward whether they were ready or not. "I've already frozen the equity line," he added. "The bank flagged the signature discrepancy. They're investigating." Her head snapped up. "You reported it. I protected our house." She stared at him like she was seeing someone new. He wasn't the man who avoided conflict, who smoothed things over, who let conversations drift away to keep peace. This version was steady, grounded, not fueled by rage, by clarity. "What happens now?" she asked, voice small. "Now we talk about what's best for the kids," he said, "and what separation looks like if that's where this goes." "If," she echoed. "I'm not making decisions tonight," he said, "but I'm not pretending this didn't happen either." Her composure cracked again, tears sliding silently down her face. "I ruined everything," she whispered. "No," Ethan said. "You broke something," he corrected gently. "Now we have to decide if it can be rebuilt or if we build something different." She covered her face. For months she had lived in emotional fog, telling herself she was in control. Now the consequences were sharp, defined, legal. And the man across from her, the one she had quietly underestimated, was the calmest person in the room. Not because he felt less, but because he had finally stopped hoping the truth would be something else. Outside, a car drove past. Inside, two people sat at a table where love had once felt simple. Now it was paperwork, custody schedules, and hard conversations waiting to be had. And Ethan, for the first time since the alarm rang days ago, did not feel lost. He felt awake and ready. The next morning felt strangely calm, not peaceful, just settled, like the air after a storm has passed but the ground is still soaked. Ethan stood at the kitchen counter making toast while the kids argued about whose turn it was to feed the dog. Sunlight spilled across the tile floor, bright and indifferent. She came downstairs slower than usual, eyes swollen, hair pulled back in a loose tie, no makeup, no practiced smile, just a woman who had not slept and knew pretending would no longer work. "Morning," she said quietly. "Morning," he replied. They moved around each other carefully, like furniture had been rearranged in the dark and neither of them wanted to bump into something sharp. The kids felt the difference but didn't understand it. They kept talking about spelling tests and a class pet that had escaped its cage. Normal kid things. Ethan packed lunches. She poured juice. Their hands brushed once, reaching for the same cabinet handle. Both pulled back. After school drop-off, the house emptied. Silence returned, but it was a different kind now. not hiding anything, just waiting. They sat at the dining table again. Not as opponents, not as partners. As two adults trying to untangle a life built together. "I spoke with the lawyer again this morning," Ethan said. She nodded, bracing herself. "I'm not making any sudden moves, but there are steps we have to take." Her voice shook slightly. "Like what?" "Separate accounts," he said. "Temporary. So bills are covered, but no more shared transfers without both of us signing." She nodded again. "Counseling," he added. "Not to fix us yet, to figure out how we talk about the kids without destroying each other." A tear slipped down her cheek. She wiped it away quickly. "And Liam?" he asked. She closed her eyes. "It's over. Completely." "Yes." He held her gaze for a long moment. "I need actions, not promises," he said. "No more contact, no financial ties. You send him a message ending it, and I see it." She swallowed. "Okay, no fight, no defensiveness. Just consequences landing where words used to be enough." "I also filed a dispute with the bank about the equity transfer," he continued. "That investigation will run its course. I'm not pressing charges right now, but the record will reflect what happened." Her shoulders sagged with relief and shame at the same time. "Thank you," she whispered. "This isn't mercy," he said gently. "It's protection. For the kids, for the house, for whatever comes next." She nodded. They sat there, two people who once shared everything now, dividing responsibilities like careful business partners. But beneath the logistics was something quieter. Respect. Not the old, easy kind. The new kind that comes after truth. "I don't know if we can fix this," she said. "I don't either," Ethan answered, "but I know we can't pretend it didn't happen." Outside, a neighbor started a lawnmower. The sound filled the air, ordinary and steady, life moving forward. Inside the house, no one was shouting. No one was begging. There was only the slow, deliberate work of setting boundaries where trust had once lived. And for the first time since the alarm rang in the dark, Ethan didn't feel powerless. He wasn't winning. He wasn't avenging. He was choosing. Choosing clarity, choosing dignity, choosing to stand in the truth even when it hurt. That was his justice now, quiet, firm, unshakable. The alarm went off at 5 in the morning. This time it was Ethan's. The sound was soft, steady, intentional, not forgotten, not abandoned on a kitchen counter. He reached over and turned it off before it could buzz again. The house was still dark, the kind of early hour where the world feels suspended between yesterday and whatever comes next. He sat on the edge of the bed for a moment, elbows on his knees, breathing in the quiet. Her side of the bed was empty again. But now he knew why. She had moved into the guest room 2 nights ago after they told the kids they were figuring some things out. The words had been careful, age-appropriate, incomplete. Still, the kids had hugged them both a little longer that night. Ethan stood and walked downstairs. The tile was cool under his feet. The air carried the faint hum of the refrigerator and the distant whoosh of a car passing on the main road. He made coffee. Not because he needed it, because routines were anchors, and he was learning how to build new ones. The sky outside the kitchen window shifted slowly from deep blue to gray. A new day arriving, whether he felt ready or not. He leaned against the counter, mug warm in his hands. The pain was still there, not sharp like before, heavier, quieter, like a bruise that ached when pressed. He thought about the version of himself from a week ago lying in bed, hearing an alarm downstairs, heart pounding with confusion and dread. That man had been afraid of the truth, afraid of losing what he thought he had. This version understood something different. He hadn't lost everything. He had lost the illusion. And illusions, he was learning, were not the same thing as love. Upstairs, a door opened softly. Small footsteps padded down the hall. "Dad," his daughter's sleepy voice called. "I'm here," he answered. She appeared at the bottom of the stairs, hair messy, blanket dragging behind her like a cape. "Why are you up so early?" He smiled gently. "Couldn't sleep." She climbed onto a chair at the counter, resting her head against his arm. He kissed the top of her head. In that simple, ordinary moment, something settled inside him. His life had changed. His marriage might not survive in the form he knew, but he was still here, still a father, still a man capable of choosing how he moved forward. The sun edged over the horizon, light spilling into the kitchen in thin gold lines. Ethan looked at the clock. 5:23. The same hour that once marked the beginning of doubt now marked something else. Awareness. He took a slow breath. Not everything was fixed, not everything was clear, but he was no longer asleep inside his own life. And this time, when the day began, it began with him awake. If this story made you pause, you are not alone. Sometimes the hardest truth is not betrayal. It is realizing we ignored the signs because we were afraid to lose what felt safe. If you have ever stayed silent when something felt wrong or learned the truth later than you wanted to, this story was for you. Share your thoughts below. Your experience might help someone else who is still in the dark. And if you believe quiet strength is more powerful than loud revenge, subscribe to the channel. More real stories are coming.